Hi, this is Sue Jackson, and I'm here today with another Friday Reads, my weekly update of what my family and I have been reading this past week. I have been fully immersed in Nonfiction November, and this year I have stumbled on some absolutely amazing nonfiction books. They're all just blowing me away. Just some incredible books on a wide variety of topics. So let's dive in. This week I did finish, finally, A Walk in the Park, The True Story of a Spectacular Misadventure in the Grand Canyon by Kevin Fedarko. I talked a lot about this last week, so I'll link to that review. But I just kind of wanted to mention it one last time because this was such a good book. It is a gripping outdoor adventure tale, but there is so much more depth to it than that. It's the true story of two best friends. Kevin's an outdoor writer. His best friend, Pete, is an outdoor photographer. They go on assignments for National Geographic, Outside Magazine, things like that. They've been all over the world. So they get this idea to hike the length of the Grand Canyon. In the canyon, not along the rim. They get approved to go on assignment for National Geographic. Great. But they set out with no preparation at all, having no idea that this is considered the most challenging hike in the world. Think about that for a minute. Think about all the terrain all over the world. This is considered the most difficult. So yes, it is a spectacular misadventure. It takes them a full year and they do it in segments, but there's so much more to this book than just an outdoor adventure story. Kevin incorporates science and history, human history as well as geological history. A big part of the story is the indigenous tribes that have called the Grand Canyon home for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, like 11,000 years. The timeline is just mind-boggling. And not just the history there, but also those tribes today and what's going on with them today, how some development projects are threatening both the canyon itself and the tribes. So this turned out, I didn't realize this at the beginning, but it ended up being a great fit for Indigenous Heritage Month as well. As I mentioned last week, I got so wrapped up in the photos and I went down so many rabbit holes while reading this book. There are 2 sections of full color photos. Of course, Kevin's partner, Pete, on this hike is a professional photographer. So there are all kinds of photos, some showing the incredible beauty of the canyon, some showing how difficult the hike was, highlighting the indigenous cultures. And again, if you look back at last week's video, I recommended some websites with just stunning photography. Kevin's Instagram account also features a lot of Pete's photography. But toward the end of the book, something else occurred to me. He was taking video the whole time too. So I looked on video and I found several 10-minute pieces that he put together for National Geographic. I will link to them in the comments in the notes section below. These work really well as kind of a trailer for the book. So my husband's planning to read the book as well. But I showed him these short videos this weekend and he was just stunned. Loved it. Once again, a shout out to Sarah at Hiking Outdoor Family Channel. She and I went on a hike together this summer and she brought me this book and I so appreciated it. And I know my husband's gonna love it too. Next, I moved on to my book group's next pick. We meet in early December. So this was perfect for me because it's nonfiction. Dear America, Notes of an Undocumented Citizen by Jose Antonio Vargas. This book has been so eye-opening. Just absolutely incredible. As it says, the author is undocumented, but the details of his story just blow apart whatever stereotypes you may have, all of us have, about who is undocumented and what it means to be undocumented. Because Jose, who flew to the U.S. on a plane when he was 12 years old from the Philippines, and who, of the 40-some people in his family who live in the U.S., they are all American citizens except him. He is a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist. He's worked for the Washington Post. His articles have appeared in the New York Times, the New Yorker. He's had a whole career as an author. He's in his late 30s now, or was at the time of the writing of this book a few years ago. There are so many points in this book where I just stopped and was like, wait, really? That's true? So, he's had people, since he's come out as being undocumented, he's had all kinds of supportive encounters, but also horrible encounters, abusive, people being abusive to him, people shouting at him. Just all we ask is that you do things the right way. Get in line like everyone else. And he's like, there is no line. He has no options, no pathway to becoming a U.S. citizen like the rest of his family. There are no pathways. There are no doors. There are no lines, as he keeps saying. Going back to the Philippines isn't a great option either. America has been his home since he was 12 years old. All of his family is here except for his mother. She was never able to come over legally. So that's the other interesting thing. So much of his family came over here legally and became citizens. But every time his mother applied, she was turned down. He was just a child, so he didn't even know what any of this meant. He didn't know he was undocumented until he was in high school, 16, and tried to get a driver's license and found out that his papers were fake. It's just a stunning story. But what's really stunning is that this isn't the story of one individual. There are 11 million undocumented people in the U.S. right now. And many of them have stories like this. Thankfully, many of them fell under the new DACA law that President Obama signed into law, so-called Dreamers. Jose was 4 months too old to fall into the limits of that law. I mean, none of it makes sense. I knew our system was messed up. I didn't know it was this messed up. It's a really eye-opening book. It's a book that every American should read. Because, like I said, it just blows apart your stereotypes. And we all have them. Just an incredible book. I've only got 30 pages left. I'm right at the end. I'll finish it today at nap time. Can't wait for the discussion with my book group. I'm sure that will be very interesting. Okay, on audio, I should have checked this before I started. I'll edit this out if it's not relevant. I can't remember whether I had finished Knife by Salman Rushdie when I recorded a week ago. In any case, I did finish that. It was an excellent memoir about his experience when he was attacked and stabbed on stage. He was there to give a talk, and somebody rushed up on stage and stabbed him over and over and over. He lost an eye. He put his hand up to shield himself, and so his hand was almost destroyed. Well, he almost died. He came very close to dying. So it's about that experience and his long road to recovery for him and his wife, both physical and emotional. Very thoughtful and philosophical, but also stark. He doesn't pull any punches. It's a very honest account of what he was experiencing. As I mentioned last week, it was very well written. I've never read anything by him before, so I would like to try one of his novels. So if you've read any of his novels, please let me know in the comments down below if there's one that you'd recommend. I finished Knife, and I went on Libby. I have a whole list of nonfiction that I'm waiting to read. Every single book I looked up, either our library didn't have it, or there was a wait list of like 100 people. And it said, yeah, you can get this next April or whatever. So since Libby wasn't working out for me, I checked on Chirp, which has audio deals all the time. I think it's a subset of BookBub, but for audiobooks. And I looked in their sales section under nonfiction, and a book caught my eye because I've heard someone here on BookTube talk about it. We Will Be Jaguars, A Memoir of My People by Namonte Nenkimo. It might have been Melinda at A Web of Stories that I heard talk about it. I could be wrong though. I know I heard about it somewhere on BookTube, and that was the basis that I chose it. Also, it is an Indigenous story, not Native American, but Indigenous in Ecuador, in South America. So I thought that would be a good fit as well. This is another book that is just mind-blowing, eye-opening, so powerful. So the author is a woman who grew up in an indigenous tribe in South America, in Ecuador. Her people were the people of the forest. They had lived in the forest for eons. And they were the last people contacted by Christian missionaries. And I guess they initially came to their tribe in the 1950s sometime. So they had not met any white people before that. The damage that these missionaries did to their world and their culture is just gut-wrenching. Now, to be honest, I have always felt this way about missionaries of any kind, not just Christian. Any religion that thinks their way is the only way and that tries to force its religion and its beliefs on other people, that just doesn't sit right with me. It's arrogant. It's horribly condescending. And you see that in this book. The word they used for the missionaries used for the tribe meant savages in their language. And that's how they treated them. And I mean, this is an old story. We've all heard it. We've heard it here in America. But to hear this firsthand account of someone who lived through it, she's not researching history. This is her history. It's horrifying. And so, you know, as a kid, she's just got this lovely childhood. I mean, it's not our childhood, but they were very happy just living their lives in the forest as their ancestors had. They had their own ways of worship. And of course, the missionaries came in and told them that all of that was the work of the devil. Told them that their naked bodies were a sin. And don't get me started. So anyway, as Namonte grows older, another group of missionaries comes in. They have a teenage girl about her age. They become very good friends. And she does become, for a period of time, enamored with civilization and the white way of life. So she ends up going with the missionaries to study in this, I don't even know what to call it, like this missionary camp they have for young people. in the hopes that they will teach them all about the Bible and they'll go back and teach the people in their tribes. But again, it's all with this air of condescension, with telling them that their ways are sinful and the devil is behind it. But it's not only that. Poor Namonte, who was so innocent and so naive, was treated horribly and even abused by the very people who were supposed to be protecting her. It is a gut-wrenching story. I try to be very even-tempered with things in my life, but this book is making me angry. Her story is making me angry. But it's good. We should be aware of this kind of thing. We should know what went on and what is still going on in parts of the world. So I'm just to the part where she has left the missionaries and sort of gone back to her village, but the oil companies have discovered their land by now. So everything has changed. The companies actually hired her people, the men in the village, to cut down all these trees, to make runways for their planes. They're drilling for oil. They've replaced forest with grasses. None of it is good. There are environmental impacts as well as the cultural impacts. It is a fascinating story so far. I am so glad I'm reading this. I knew nothing about Ecuador or its indigenous people, so that's been fascinating as well. It is, and it's very well written. Whoever recommended it on BookTube, thank you. I would also recommend it. I think I'm only about halfway, but it is really an outstanding book. And I mentioned that I will finish Dear America today. My next nonfiction book is Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer, which I've heard fabulous things about for years, all over BookTube, all over the blogging world. Can't wait to read this. I don't know if I'll be able to finish it in November because it's a pretty hefty one. It's almost 400 pages. And Thanksgiving week is not known for having a lot of reading time. We'll be traveling up to my hometown, seeing, different family gatherings every day. I'm not going to have a lot of reading time, but I am looking forward to reading this. My husband is now about halfway through Bridge by Lauren Bucas, a book that I loved during Big Book Summer this year. It's about alternate universes and a young woman who discovers she can travel to alternate universes to visit alternate versions of herself, see all the different paths her life could take. Her mother has died of brain cancer, and she's hoping to find a world in which her mother is still alive. So, fascinating concept. I loved it. He's enjoying it. He was a little confused at the beginning, but he was reading it in really short bits. Now that he's gotten more into it, I think he's really enjoying it. And I did finally catch up with my son a little bit, texting. We'll have the whole Thanksgiving weekend together. He actually said he has not been reading at all since I saw him a month ago when we rented that lake house for the weekend. He's just been really busy with work, with his girlfriend. In his spare time, he's been playing his Nintendo Switch a lot. But he said he's getting ready to start World's Edge by Robert Hare. I'll put the cover up here. So he read book 1 and really enjoyed it. So he's getting ready to start book 2. So that's what we're reading this week. I would love to hear about what you're reading. Please let me know in the comments down below.